If you're still on that wicked high, then you're going to want to settle in because I'm going to show you the stunning set design with a 360-degree breakdown of Galinda and Elphaba's dorm room and how you can recreate the look in your own space to wake up Galinda-fied. Hi, my name is Anne. I am an interior architect and designer, and if you were inspired by the stunning Shiz set design from Wicked, then today you're my client and I'm going to show you how to recreate the popular aesthetic for your own bedroom. Galinda and Elphaba's space is time-worn and cozy with warm wood, painted details, and floral patterns throughout. AD just released a great video with the Wicked production designer where he explains his inspiration for the onion-shaped room with its inset windows. He says he wanted to feel a sense of movement throughout, which you can see with all the curves in the furniture and the ceiling and flooring. And of course, we're going to be pulling from both Galinda and Elphaba's styles because pink and green go great together.
Pink goes good with green.
Goes well with green.
It so does.
So now let's take a peek at styling a Wicked-inspired bedroom, starting with the bones of the space. So here I chose a warm, kind of dark cherry wood for the floors and on the wainscoting as well. And the rest of the walls were starting out as white. I tried painting some green details into the wood, but it just wasn't reading right on the computer. And of course, an artisan did all of that in the space. So here we're just going to work with plain wood wainscoting, and then we'll do the wallpaper both on the walls and the ceiling to create that kind of enveloping feeling that you have in their space with the painted pattern. This is a pink and green botanical print from Cole & Son Wallpaper. You can source from a couple different places. So we're starting bringing the pink and green in with that sort of whimsical feel. Of course, then we need to add in some soft finishes. Their windows were inset and it would have been very difficult to put some curtains in, but I think we needed them both for, kind of to look more warm, but also these are blackout curtains, which are certainly functional for a bedroom. They're in a green velvet. And then what they did with the rugs that I really like typically you see, just a rectangular rug under the bed. Here they kind of zoned the space through round rugs, which I like. It's something different. I did make the rug under the bed a bit bigger than what they had so that your feet actually land on it when you get in and out of the bed. And then I created two other zones with small round rugs. And I did the same one. I didn't think it would serve you to have different rugs. There's a lot going on in this space, you'll see. And then the bed surprised me that it was a burl wood because typically, the production designer was definitely pulling from a lot of different time periods and geographies, but burl wood is definitely not like a Victorian feeling wood. It's more of a late mid-century wood, which is kind of why it's come back recently, which means it's available. So I found this burl wood shelter bed, which I think is really cool. It's a bit more streamlined than what Galinda had. Very cozy feeling. I think the tone of the wood playing off the darker wood in the rest of the space is really interesting. And then of course nothing's too matchy here, so we have some different side tables. She had a tiered side table. You could definitely source vintage, but I found this one that I thought was pretty. And then in Elphaba's space, she had what I think was two ottomans like this kind of stacked where the top one was upside down, which is definitely interesting. I'm just showing one right side up, but I like the idea of maybe doing an ottoman next to one side of the bed. Maybe you don't actually need like a hard surface, and so it is a bit softer look. And then of course they had those beautiful kind of petal shaped inset windows. So what you could do is find mirrors in a similar shape to start to get that soft geometry in the room. So I'm showing a couple of them on the bed wall. And then of course, again, they had someone painting beautiful hand-done murals and everything in the space, but William Morris is a 19th century textile designer, and you can get a lot of his work, and it has that kind of arts and crafts pretty vibe to it. I liked that this was different greens coming together in a floral pattern, so I think over a bed this would be really pretty. After that, so they had on one side a sleigh sofa, which was beautiful. It had a wood carved back and upholstered arms, kind of like a jacquard fabric. So I found some like this one, pretty vintage ones, but I don't want to link just like a one piece that's probably sold by the time that you get to it. And when I started to look at newly manufactured sleigh sofas, they were just not good. So I opted instead for this armchair and ottoman because once I found this fabric, I thought it was so perfect, so Asian in the patterning and the colorway, this pretty jade green. It also comes in a pink, but I opted for the green here. And I just think, this is a fun armchair. It has those bun feet, which still has the curves to it. And then bringing in some curves with the coffee table with the legs. And then that side table actually has 3 circles. It's almost like a clover, which kind of replicates the 3 circles in the rugs that we have. They had this carved wood dresser. I think they actually had a couple with different drawer configurations. I found this great company in New Orleans that will custom fabricate these. I like the two wood tones coming together, but what I did was I replaced the pulls with these tassel pulls from an online seller. They come in a bunch of different colors. I chose this kind of mauvey pink and then a more kind of like curves to the brass detail beyond. So already it's starting to feel more whimsical and Aussian to have these pink tassel pulls to this carved wood dresser. Galinda, of course, kind of had like a glam station, which would be great for your bedroom if you have the room. So that's what I'm showing here, styled with a full-length folding mirror, a table with a vanity mirror on top. They had this really pretty pink, curved, maybe crystalled vanity mirror. I could not find something exactly like that, but I thought this one from Anthropologie was nice. Maybe it goes with a bit more different styles than just that pink, very frilly one. And then this Savonarola armchair, this is an iconic furniture piece that you learn about. It actually was designed to fold together between the different pieces of wood. I think this one does. This is a recreation, but of course I would add a cushion to it, and I would not use it as a desk chair, maybe just as a glam chair, accent chair, that kind of thing, because I think the form is really beautiful, but I doubt it's great to sit in for too long. And then we get into lighting. They definitely had a lot of ambient lighting in this space. Galinda's pink light actually illuminates pink. You can see in this What Is This Feeling scene, which that song is definitely still in my head. So they had these sconces around the room that were kind of this metal filigree, really pretty. I liked these. They're a little bit more streamlined than what they had. And then they also had a crystal globe in the middle of the room with kind of a black circular metal piece around it, which Galinda, of course, hangs from with tassels hanging off. I think they somehow combined two different chandeliers, or probably just completely custom fabricated it. So I couldn't find something quite like that. But I think the French crystal globe in itself is really pretty and probably reflects light really nice, which is great for a bedroom where you might want softer lighting. They had a bunch of table lamps throughout, which were definitely, if not real vintage, recreations of oil lamps, that sort of thing. Again, you can find some vintage, but wanting to give you new sources. I found these kind of hurricanes from Amazon, which is great because you just put a taper candle in them, which means you can move them around the room without needing a plug nearby, which I think is really nice. And then I just found this green table lamp from Anthropologie, which I thought was pretty. Maybe it's a bit more Art Nouveau in its styling, but of course, like the production designer said, we're kind of mixing different styles to create this overall Aussian feel. So I thought it was beautiful. And then Galinda, of course, has a couple pink table lamps. I settled on this one because I think the intricacy balances nicely with some of the other stuff going on in the room. I had found this one at first, which I think is cute, but maybe not quite as like nice or substantial feeling as the one that I settled on. And then, of course, Galinda has so much luggage, but it's really beautiful and can be used to accessorize. So I found some larger trunks like this white one and this pink leather one, and kind of like white with leather straps, which you can use for storage and just to decorate the space. I do really like these blue hat boxes. They're in a leather, and I think, you don't need to put hats in them. They just can be some great storage in a pretty color. And a wall mounted hook. Galinda had like a floor one. Elphaba had a smaller wall mounted one. I opted for this wall mounted one from our house because I think in a bedroom maybe you don't need quite as much storage, and I kind of liked it being a wall detail. And then of course Galinda's bedding is very pink, so I'm showing a complete pink sheet set with the pillowcases and sheets, and then a ton of round pink pillows in different textures like velvet and silk with some patterning going on, so it feels pretty layered. And then on top of the bed they had a couple like ruffly duvet covers. So I'm showing them here from this company that makes pretty ones called Bella Notte. So this is overall just a very cozy, inviting bed. And then of course we accessorize with some books, some pink hat and scarf, that sort of thing, to just make it feel more lived in. I do like how they mixed metals a bit. So we have some silver with all of these trays. One of them has double arches to it, which is playing with the architecture. And then Urban Outfitters has these really cute, they're called petal, or did I call them petal? I forget what they're called, but they're cute candles in these glass holders. They come in pink, maybe a green, and then a white. So I liked how it was kind of like a subtle nod to some of the floral details in the space. And, just kind of trays and jewelry stands and that kind of thing. So the one thing that I wanted to show switching out was, trunks can feel a little bit dorm roomy. and maybe that's the phase of life that you're in, and that totally makes sense, or you just like the aesthetic. But an alternative would be to have a storage bench, an ottoman at the foot of the bed to get that extra storage, but provide maybe more seating and just feel a little bit more grown up looking. And before we get to the final reveal and all the product pages, there's just one thing.
It's just a small thing.
Would you consider subscribing to my channel? I love making these. We dive into a ton of our favorite movies and shows. If you like this aesthetic, you'll especially like the Practical Magic movie recreation that I did. So please consider subscribing and sticking around. Now let's get back to the design. So let's take a look at what we've created together, pulling inspiration from the Wicked Shiz set design. You can see how some of those old world materials and forms come together with fresh pops and pink and green to create something really fun, romantic, and magical. I think this is an aesthetic especially that you could just pull some accessories here and there to get more of the vibe in your space. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to go back to listening to the Wicked soundtrack on repeat, and I will see you next time. Bye.